I try to be. I try to be.
All right.
I see my dear friend Nagaraja Rao is on. Hi, Nagaraja.
Hello, how are you, Richard?
Jainadi?
I'm
Glad
well,
to see
thank
you.
you.
Huh? Jai-
Morning, Richard.
Good morning. What a great meeting this looks like. It's going to be 37 people already.
You are the star attraction, Richard.
Not me, not me. Members are always the star attraction. I look forward to hearing some speeches today.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Good evening, Richard sir. It's my pleasure to see you and meet you virtually first time.
Hello, Monica. How are you?
I'm very good.
Good.
Thank you.
And our CGD is in the house. Nice to see you.
PQD also.
PQD is also in the house.
Hello, Mr. Richard.
There's the PQD over there.
Yeah, I am Narayanan.
How are you doing, Narayan?
Good to see you.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's get started with the business session. Can I ask the VP Education, Toastmaster Ankita, to give the update on the roles for the coming week?
A very good evening to all the Toastmasters and guests present in the meeting room today. For the next meeting, we have the role of MC, TTM, and 2 individual evaluators open. Anyone who's interested could please DM me and I will assign the roles. Thank you. Back to you, President Seisner.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ankita. Another update. We had the club officers training program yesterday and all the 7 club officers have attended it. And in the coming weeks, we will be sharing the learnings with the club members. That's all for the business session. Now the sergeant can take over.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Celebration is life's frosting. Isn't frosting the very best part of the cake? Says Bethany Frankel. A very good evening to fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. Celebrations can boost our well-being, as it is true in the case of major milestones and even daily wins for that matter. One of the main reasons why celebrations are very important because it reminds us an overall attitude of gratitude and enjoying what we have, rather than focusing on what we do not have or what we want to have in the future. Celebration lets us reflect the right path forward before setting out on it and builds confidence in us. By reminding us to acknowledge the accomplishments we have had in the past. So, my dear Toastmasters, celebrations is not just important for individuals, but also for groups. Remember, the world's best leaders take their time off to celebrate the victory of their team. Speaking of that, Mekon is celebrating its 23rd year anniversary this evening. Being the 4th oldest club and the first and the only corporate club across the country in the year 1999, Mekon has had members represent the club in the World Championship of Public Speaking in the year 2015 at Las Vegas. Not just that, Mekon has had numerous members setting various milestones and introducing innovative and creative ways of carrying forward the meeting. One such member who introduced the whole concept of live streaming the meeting and constantly updating and promoting the club across every social media platform is a BCom honors graduate from Jain University who is currently pursuing CA. Someone who loves cycling and exploring different things. The former VPPR, VPM, VPE, and the current president of Mekon Communication Club, Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Over to you, Toastmaster Sai Snehal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sanjana, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening. I would like to welcome Toastmaster International President, distinguished Toastmaster Richard E. Peck. I would also like to recognize the presence of District Director, distinguished Toastmaster Vanitha Rangarajan, Program Quality Director, distinguished Toastmaster Narayan, Club Growth Director, distinguished Toastmaster Arjun Sundar Raj, Division C Director, Toastmaster Vaibhav Gupta, Area C2 Director, Toastmaster Bhavani, Past International Director, distinguished Toastmaster Nagaraja Rao, District Officers, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Normally, in any other given meeting, we would call the guests and ask them to introduce. But today, being a very special meeting and the guests being huge in numbers, it would only be a constraint of time to do so. But I wish each and every guest a warm welcome to our club, and we are happy that you are here today. I request the Secretary, Toastmaster Ujjwal, to kindly read out the minutes of the previous meeting.
A very happy evening, everyone. Minutes of the meeting number 1119 held on 19/7/2021. Team Health. Business session started at 6:18 p.m. and was chaired by the President, Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Following points were discussed. TTM Richard Peck, Toastmasters International President, will be taking the role of general evaluation on the 26th July 2021 on the occasion of 23rd anniversary of Mekon Communication Club. The regular meeting started at 6:21 p.m. Sergeant Adams, Toastmaster Sanjana, started the meeting with an introduction about the theme and handed over the charge to the President, Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Toastmaster Sai Snehal opened the meeting, welcomed the guest, spoke on the theme, and introduced the Master of Ceremonies for the day, Toastmaster Chandrasekhara. Master of Ceremonies, Toastmaster Chandrasekhara, spoke on the theme and introduced the role takers. Timer was Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Accounter, Toastmaster Raghunandana. Grammarian, Toastmaster Lalana. And the PP evaluator was Toastmaster Sanjana. The prepared speech session had the following speeches. First speaker, Toastmaster Prakash, attempting level 2, project 1, and the evaluator was Toastmaster Shashikant. Second speaker was Toastmaster Rodang, attempting level 2, project 1, and the evaluator was DTM Emubert. The table topic session was conducted by Toastmaster Ujjwal, and there were 11 speakers. The general evaluation session was conducted by Toastmaster Gaurav. The winners of the week were Best Speaker, Toastmaster Prakash, Best Evaluator, DTM Emubert, Best Table Topic Speaker, DTM AK Prabhakara and DTM Emubert. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ujjwal. Are there any changes to the minutes of the previous meeting? If not, I shall consider this as accepted, and I open meeting number 1120. "23 years of glory, a journey of 1,000 steps begins with a single step. And the journey of 1,120 meetings started with the first meeting in the year 1998. What started off as the first and the only corporate club in the year 1999 and the fourth oldest club in India is now a corporate and a community club. It was in the year 2002 when Mekon Limited opened the doors to the general public in the surrounding areas, and there was no turning back. The first person to join Mekon Communication Club when it opened to the public went on to become the International Director of Toastmasters International in the past, distinguished Toastmaster Nagaraja Rao. The first lady member, also a charter member, went on to complete a distinguished Toastmaster journey, distinguished Toastmaster Dr. Vijayashree. This is a club which has produced fine speakers and leaders. We have had speakers going all the way to the World Championship of Public Speaking and the district champions in humorous contests, and leaders making a mark in the Toastmasters International. Mekong Communication Club has played an important role in the formation of the district and brought about the Toastmasters movement that changed the history altogether. And it is only fair for you to hear the insights from the member who's witnessed this and also been instrumental in the movement. The charter member, the second president of Mekong Communication Club, distinguished Toastmaster. Can you please tell us what are the insights that the club has gone?
Thank you, Mr. President. It will indeed be my pleasure to share with you a few highlights of our eventful journey we traversed in the last 23 years. International President DTM Richard Beck, District Director DTM Vanitha Rangarajan, if you are there, I'm not sure. Program Quality Director DTM Narayanan, Club Growth Director DTM Arjun Sundarraj, Division Director DTM Vaibhav Gupta, Area Director Bhavani Hemant, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Not every club gets the privilege of being in the center of action when the history was being made. We were lucky, but by choice. We were the fourth oldest club chartered in India, the other three being Garden City Speakers Forum, Bangalore Toastmasters Club, and LA 1924. But all were unrestricted clubs then, each operating as an independent island, as it were. When we invited them for our chartering ceremony, a new beginning was made for mutual support and cooperation in conducting joint meetings, education sessions, speech contests, etc. It was perhaps the tiny spark that ignited the explosive growth of Toastmasters in India. Meanwhile, more clubs, Sunshine Toastmasters, Daffodils, Infosys Toastmasters, etc. joined this group. When the idea of Territorial Council of South Asia for enabling district formation was mooted along with a few clubs from Sri Lanka, the natural choice to take up the leadership was our club. And late Mr. UK Sharma, our charter president, was made the chairman of the council, and I had the privilege to be the finance manager. This eventually led to the formation of District 82, which was formally announced by the then International President DTM Abhay Shekhara during our annual conference in Colombo. The rest, as they say, is history. From 4 clubs in India, we have grown to a whopping 1,000 plus clubs spread over 5 districts in India and 1 in Sri Lanka. As we celebrate our 23rd anniversary, we look back with a sense of pride and satisfaction for the role we played. Today, we belong to the vibrant District 121, headed by the dynamic director, DTM Vanitha Rangarajan. As the oldest club of the district, we have a healthy mix of members. On the one hand, we have veterans such as Pathway Ambassadors, DTM Dr. Vijayashree, past International Director, DTM Nagaraj Rao, who were the first 2 non-Mekonians to join and continue as members to this day. And not to miss the conscience keeper of our club, DTM AK Prabhakara, who often donned the role of a hard taskmaster, maybe with the stick in his hand, ensuring that we comply with the systems and procedures, be it evaluations, mentorship, or following pathway guidelines. On the other hand, we have a young dynamic crop of Toastmasters raring to go higher and higher in the Toastmasters excellence. On this occasion of 23rd anniversary, let us together rededicate ourselves to the mission of Toastmasters in making effective oral communication a worldwide reality. Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster MU Bhatt, for taking us to the memory lane and letting us know how this club has been of significant importance in the past and how it has shaped the way that things are today. With close to a membership of 50, ranging from 80 years all the way till 80 years. We have members from all walks of life and all fields, from software engineers to doctors, from businessmen to chartered accountants to homemakers. And this is what makes our club unique and magical. If we ever had a tagline for our club, it would have been stronger than time. With one meeting at a time, we have come all the way till 1120th meeting. From the traditional manuals to the 100% adoption of pathways, from physical meetings to the tech-driven virtual meetings, we have stayed stronger than time, and we will continue to stay stronger while serving the very purpose this place has been built. Mekon Communication Club was initially a corporate club, and with the graciousness of the management of Mekon Limited, which allowed non-Mekonians to join Mekon Communications Club as a part of their CSR activities. And today, with the membership of non-Mekonians being in a majority, the management of Mekon Limited has continued to support us with their facilities. We are grateful to the management of Mekon Limited. Here is one such person who has benefited from the Mekon support. Introducing you to the Master of Ceremonies for today, a third-year computer science engineering student, a passionate photographer who likes to cycle to places, past area director, immediate past president, and the current division director. Well, please welcome Toastmaster Udanka with a huge round of applause.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, President. Good evening, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmasters, leaders, and my dear guest. It is impossible for me to remember how many days or weeks went by in this journey. Time is round and it rolls very quickly. I still remember the first meeting I attended in Mekon Communication Club, and I feel I attended a couple of weeks back, but no, it's been nearly 3 years now. I'm pretty sure many of us have the same feeling and a special bond built with our club, especially the charter members DTM MU Bhatt and DTM AK Prabhakara, who were the second and third president of Mekon Communication Club, and also have laid a very good and strong foundation for this club by sharing and helping each and every member week on week, month on month, year on year, making sure Mekon's flag is raised high. A club to have 1,100 and plus meetings over the past 23 years continuously is a great achievement. Mekon Communication Club has many experience in producing champion speakers and international leaders. It has 23 years of experience and I'm just 21. The long successful journey of producing speakers and leaders is only because each and every member gives their 100%, no matter it's a senior Toastmaster or a very newly joined fresh Toastmaster. Each and every member takes ample of compliments and suggestions back home after every meeting, helping them to emerge as a speaker and a great leader. Mekon Communication Club has seen several phases of Toastmaster meeting, be it the in-person meeting to the online Zoom meeting. And we have also witnessed many speeches, even from the traditional manual and the current pathways. The club, which started with few members, is now one of the highest recognized club in India. This is just a small glimpse or a small story of one single club. In Toastmasters, we have more than 16,000 clubs across 145 countries, consisting of more than 364,000 members. For the benefits of guests, Toastmaster meeting is divided into 3 sessions. First session, prepared speeches, where the speaker would be ready with the speech according to their project guidelines. Second session, table topics, where a speaker will be called out and would be given a topic for 1 to 2 minutes. Third session, general evaluation, where the entire meeting will be evaluated. To have a smooth flow of the meeting, we have a few role takers whom we call as Tab G team. As I request the role takers to introduce the roles as and when they are called out. Timer, Toastmaster Gaurav.
Good evening to all the Toastmasters and to all the guests present in today's meeting. As there is a saying, time is the most valuable thing a man can ever spend. So as a timer for today's meeting, I'll be noting down all the time taken by the speakers, and I'll be helping the speakers by alerting them with the green card. When it comes to prepared speech session, I'll be alerting them with a green signal for 5 minutes, a yellow signal for 6 minutes, and a red signal for 7 minutes. And when it comes to table topic session, green signal for 1 minute, yellow signal for 1.5 minutes, and a red signal for 2 minutes. And for evaluation, green signal for 2 minutes, yellow signal for 2.5 minutes, and a red signal for 3 minutes. I'll give my report at the end of the general evaluation session. Thank you, and back to the master of ceremony.
Thank you, Timer. The next role taker is our counter, Toastmaster Lalana Murthy.
Good evening, everyone. As the R counter, I would be noting down the words and sounds that are used as a crutch by the speakers, such as etc. I would also be listening for overused words such as, and, well, but, so, you know, etc. I'll be giving my report during the evaluation session. Back to you, MC Toastmaster Udanka.
Thank you, our counter. Moving on to the next role, PPE, Toastmaster Arundhati.
Good evening, Toastmaster of the day, my dear fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. As we are all aware, any program can be successful and most effective only when certain rules are followed. We are no different here. In a typical Toastmasters meeting, the speakers are not allowed to speak about sex, religion, and politics. All the members are expected to keep their microphones muted except the active speaker, and all the members are requested to keep their videos on to encourage the speaker. Thank you, and back to you. I'll be giving my evaluation, my report at the end when the when I'm called for during general evaluation session. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, PPE Evaluator. Last role, Grammarian, DTM Dr. Vijayshri.
Hello, Toastmasters. Good evening to all of you. We are celebrating the 23rd anniversary, and the word of the day goes with that. Celebration time and pomp is the word of the day. So feel free to use that generously. Experience the feeling of pomp and glory through the course of this meeting. As a grammarian, I will be noting down the good usages and the not so good usages, and probably give you feedback on that at the end of the meeting. So using this in a sentence, we are 23, bring on all the pomp and gaiety throughout this meeting. So feel free to use that through the meeting. I'll be waiting and hearing out for that. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Grammarian. Let's quickly get started with our first session. Our first speaker today is attempting level 1, project 3. Can we have the individual evaluator, DTM AK Prabhakara, reading out the project guidelines?
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. The member is completing this project, has spent time researching a topic. He or she may be speaking about a new topic or a known topic on a deeper level. The member will present a well-organized, well-delivered speech. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style the member chooses. The speech content and style should work well together. This project is not a report on the content of the research and presenting this project. Over to Master Sarnis Udanka.
Thank you. The speaker is a third-year law student, trained Kathak dancer, and is fond of trucking. She is the current Vice President membership of our club. Please welcome Toastmaster Spurti with her speech titled GHP is greater than GDP. Over to the speaker.
I hope I'm visible and audible. Thank you, Toastmaster Udang, for such a lovely introduction. A wise man once said, if you think the economy is more important than the environment, try holding your breath while you're counting your money. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. We're all living in a competitive world where we're only mostly concerned about the economic growth and seldom about the social and educational growth of our country. I'm going to be talking about a small country in the Himalayas with a population of barely 8 lakh people. It's sandwiched between the two most populated countries, India and China, and the country that introduced the idea of gross national happiness index to the world. Yes, it is Bhutan. In the 1970s, the fourth king of Bhutan, Jigme Singh Wangchuk, introduced gross national happiness index as an alternative to gross national domestic product for his country. Ever since, all development in Bhutan has been developed with the idea of GNH, a pioneering vision that aims to improve happiness and well-being of their people. But that was easier said than done. Their entire GDP is less than $2 billion, which is probably the net worth of one family or probably even one person in America. The economy is so small, but here's where it gets interesting. All citizens are guaranteed free school education, and those who work hard are even given free college education. Healthcare is also completely free. Medical consultations, medicines, and medical treatment is also provided by the state. They manage this because they use their limited resources very carefully, and they stay very careful to the core mission of GNH, which is development with values. They agree that the economy is small and they must strengthen it, but that economic growth must not come from undermining the unique culture and pristine environment. 72% of the country is under forest cover. The constitution demands that a minimum of 60% of Bhutan's total land shall remain under forest cover, and in fact, the constitution imposes forest cover on them. Incidentally, the king used this constitution to impose democracy on his citizens. People of Bhutan didn't want democracy, and they definitely did not fight for it. Instead, the king imposed democracy on them by insisting that he includes it in their constitution. He included provisions in the constitution that empower the people to impeach their king, and also provisions that require the kings to retire at the age of 65. In a world that is threatened by climate change, Bhutan is considered to be a carbon neutral country. Out of the 200 odd countries in the world, it looks like Bhutan is the only country that is carbon negative. By carbon negative, I mean it takes more greenhouse gases from the atmosphere than it emits. Its vast woodlands cover approximately 70% of the country and acts as a carbon neutral and acts as a natural carbon sink. It absorbs lots of amount of carbon dioxide. The entire country generates about 2.2 million tons of carbon dioxide, but the forests sequester more than 3 times that amount. So they are a net carbon sink for more than 4 million tons of carbon dioxide each year. But that's not all. They export most of the renewable energy, electricity, that they generate from their fast-flowing rivers. So today, the clean energy that they export offsets about 6 million tons of carbon dioxide to the neighborhood. And if they were to harness even half of the hydropower potential, the clean green energy that they export would offset something like 50 million tons of carbon dioxide every year. That is more carbon dioxide than what the entire city of New York generates in 1 year. How is this gross national happiness calculated? The happiness ladder is used by researchers when the sample population is asked to rank their satisfaction with respect to their present living conditions. The happiness index is simply calculated by taking an average of all these factors into a single number. I would want to conclude my speech by sharing with you all an anecdote from my visit to Bhutan. Bhutan has a system of visa on arrival. When we reached the office, we had people welcoming us, carrying our luggage, and we also had a person who was taking care of our luggage. Because we had to drive for the next 5 hours to get to our trek, and as already that we were late, we requested them if someone could help us bypass the line and fasten the process for us. One person volunteered and spoke to the people he knew there and got our visas faster than usual. He also helped us catch a taxi and put us in one. Towards the end, we thought he would definitely charge us a bribe for the extra services, and we were prepared to pay him for it. Finally, when we offered him the money, he outrightly refused with a smiling face and said, "I do it for the king and for my people." And we stood speechless. Thank you, and back to the MC.
What a great speech. Moving on to the next speaker, who is attempting level 4, project 1. Can we have the individual evaluator, Toastmaster Sridevi, reading out the project guidelines?
Good evening, Toastmasters and esteemed guests. The speaker today is attempting level 4 project 1 from the Effective Coaching Manual. And the purpose of this project is for the member to develop and apply skills for coaching a fellow member or a person outside Toastmasters who can benefit from his or her experience. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspects of his or her experience in coaching. Good luck to the speaker, and back to the Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you. The speaker is a qualified ACCA and an aspirant chartered accountant. She loves to read books and paint. She is the current VP Education. Please welcome Toastmaster Ankita with her speech title, Tap Onto Your Potential. Over to the speaker.
Am I visible and audible? Okay. Hello, Rahul. Would it be a good time to speak with you right now? Yes, sure. So, Rahul, can you please take me through your to-do list and tell me what are the tasks you have to accomplish today? Yes, sure. It all begins with 5 a.m. I have a class for 2 hours starting 6 a.m. At 9 a.m., I have to reach office and start working on some audit work papers. By 11 a.m., I have to meet with a client for a meeting to resolve my queries. At about 12, I have to reach my desk again to do some data entry work. By 2 p.m., I'm back from my lunch break and I have to start working on some backlogs from the past week. After that, I have to resume work on my fixed assets work paper, which I have to submit to you for review today. This should take me about 3 hours. At 6, I have to rush to my evening class, which is in Jayanagar. It starts at 9 p.m. I reach home by 9:30. I have to finish some pending office work, after which I crash around 12 a.m. Wow, Rahul, don't you think your schedule is extremely cramped? Yes, but this is the way to success, isn't it? I have to slog and work long hours and not sleep. That's when I'm going to be where I want to be. Okay, Rahul, let's discuss this at office tomorrow. I said before I hung up the call with Rahul, and I had an epiphany about my extended role as Rahul's coach. A very good evening to the fellow planners, developers, and strategists present in this room. I am Ankita, and today I will be talking to you about coaching my intern, Rahul. Now, if you're wondering why I took you all through the detailed schedule of Rahul, you won't have to wait much longer. Now, as you all are aware, coaching is a lot more short-term and goal-oriented role. With this goal of helping somebody else reach their goal, I was assigned Rahul for 2 months. His role was to help me on an audit assignment, while my role was to coach him, teach him, and guide him to better understand how auditing works. Rahul was a new intern. He was always beaming with enthusiasm and zeal. He was proactive, a quick learner, and absolutely witty. Any work I would give to Rahul, I would consider it to be done perfectly. But as time passed, things began to change. Rahul's eyes had lost that old spark. Moreover, he looked very exhausted. He wasn't able to meet his deadlines, and every work that I gave him would either come back incomplete or inaccurate. At first, I thought this was a passing phase, but when this continued for over a week, I knew it was time to have an open conversation with Rahul. I summoned Rahul into my cabin to brush up some basics of accounting and other technicalities. I skimmed through the debits and credits, the balance sheets, the profit and loss accounts, and also told him the overview of what was expected from him on this assignment. Evidently, Rahul had absolutely no qualms in understanding the work that was expected from him. What was going wrong then, I wonder? Rahul left for his evening class, and I left for home with absolutely no enthusiasm about the upcoming weekend, but with colossal amounts of worry about the pending work at my disposal and a trainee who wasn't able to help me out for reasons that I was absolutely unaware of. Come Sunday morning, a thought struck me, and I immediately called Rahul. And as you all saw in the beginning, Rahul's to-do list was overflowing. From 5 a.m. in the morning to 12 a.m. the next day, Rahul was either studying or working at office with zero breaks and no time for himself. I came to understand that Rahul was miserably failing at prioritizing. This had led to his compromised mental health and also jeopardy of his office work. The next day, I realized that I had a more crucial role at being Rahul's coach. I decided to give Rahul a piece of my mind. I gave Rahul 3 tips, which I gave an acronym of TAP, T-A-P. This would help him tap into his potential. The T in the TAP basically stands for timelines. I asked Rahul to jot down his long-term and short-term goals and the timelines with which he would like to achieve these goals. This would help him clear his lenses, get rid of the excess baggage, and gain some clarity as to where he would like to be. The second, A in the TAP, stands for ask for help. I had noticed that Rahul was very hesitant in asking for help, and he took everything upon himself. I told Rahul to reach out, to grab that hand whenever his plate was full, to ask for help. The P in TAP stands for prioritize. I told Rahul to learn to say no to any task that did not align with his short-term or long-term goals. This would give him clarity and also allow him to use his limited time and energy in doing something which would actually yield him results. For 1 month, I constantly followed up and made sure that Rahul was having an organized to-do list and knew exactly what he had to do, and moreover, was not biting off more than he could chew. Slowly and gradually, I began to realize and see positive changes in Rahul. He was working more efficiently, his to-do list was organized, and he was also able to grasp new things at work and becoming a better and better intern. I still vividly remember my last call with Rahul as his coach, where he profusely thanked me for all the guidances and those 3 tips that I gave him, which truly had helped him tap into his potential. He said to me that he would carry this acronym TAP for the rest of his life and accordingly plan and go on to achieve his long-term and short-term goals. Dear Toastmasters, it is rightly said, a good coach can improve your game, but a great coach can improve your life. PV Sindhu, the only Indian to have won the second place, the silver medal at the Women's Single Badminton Olympic Games, in an interview went on to say that she would not have been where she is if not for the relentless dedication and efforts by her coach, Puella Gopichand. The flying Sikh named Milkha Singh went on to give a huge amount of his success to his coach Suresh Batra, because of whom his athletic abilities could be refined to such an extent. Dear Toastmasters, coaches help to see in us what we cannot see in ourselves, and they push us and steer us in the direction in achieving that goal, while also making sure that we tap into our true potential. So here's to transforming lives, to believing in our coaches, and to tapping into our potential. Thank you.
What an amazing speech. With this, we have completed our first session. Moving to the second session for today, table topic session. Today's table topic master is an engineer graduate from BMS College who is an executive director of Bias Coffee. He was a District 82 Governor, Region 13 Governor, and past International Director. Please welcome, with a huge round of applause, DTM Nagaraja Rao. Over to you, table topic master.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be here, and good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to see all the great speakers here today, and I can't wait to listen to their great answers. So let's start. Now's the time for table topic session. I know we all have butterflies in our stomach, and this is the time to make those butterflies fly in formation. So let's go. So the first question, now the first topic, would you rather have your own private island or your own private jet? So the question goes to Toastmaster Nakul MJ.
Good evening, table topic master, and good evening, Toastmasters and fellow guests. Am I visible and audible?
Yes.
Would you rather have your own
private island
or your own private jet? So, in my personal experience, I like to be with a lot of friends, travel to different places. So I would definitely not prefer a private island where for every day-to-day needs I have to keep traveling out on a boat or take the time to go out of an island. Owning a private jet, I never thought of it till today. So it would be kind of nice to have a private charter and go wherever I want instead of standing in the line on economy, waiting in the airport. Always had wanted to go around along with friends and be in a big group when I go. So never thought about it in this way. Thank you, and back to table topic masters.
Thank you, Nakul. Thank you very much. The next topic is an unmasked guy is the COVID's workshop. An unmasked guy is the COVID's workshop, and the topic goes to Monica.
Very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and friends. As we all know, COVID spreads through droplets and through touch points. So what COVID germs want? They would welcome anybody who is without mask. Masking is as important now as preventing your lungs or life. So guys, because there are many researchers and many people, many doctors who have proven that COVID can come back again. Even if you are vaccinated, even you are been infected with the virus once, it can come again. So there is only one remedy is to mask yourself, keep sanitizing yourself. That's how we can prevent us and the people around us. Over to you, to the table topic master.
Thank you, Monica. When you dial a wrong number, you never get an engaged tone. I now request Vaibhav Gupta to speak on this topic, please.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this topic, Table Topic Master. This is very, very true. Whenever you want to do something with full determination and with full force, sometimes just the cosmic will not allow you to do it. But when you by mistakenly do something, certainly that will happen. Now raise your hand that how many times have you sent a message to the wrong person and then tried deleting it? I've done it. Thanks to the time, now we have an option to delete the message for everyone, right? But it had happened so many times that when we try to dial an actual number, this was an issue earlier. But now whenever we just unintentionally try something incorrectly, that just goes through. But one fun fact about it, I remember a time when I dialed a number of Ankita Sharma instead of Ankita Sohani. And as soon as I dialed the number, she was not in my class, but in my colleague's class or my friend's class. And as soon as I dialed, I started discussing my homework with her. Hey, what did the teacher teach this morning and what all things have happened? And she was surprised to know that why this guy is calling me and asking the subject which I have not at all studied, or the teacher who has never taught me. And that is something which happened, but still I managed to talk 5 to 7 minutes with her. Now, the beauty of that is just because of that one wrong number, I still became friends with Ankita Sharma. So that's how sometimes you end up becoming friends or knowing people, even if you don't know them. And many times it has happened that you land up in such wonderful places, even when you don't intend to. And that's a very story of most number of Toastmasters who have joined Toastmasters. They never intended to, but they still came in. And as they came in, this became their one home place. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Now we know the secret behind your large circle of friends. The next question, the next topic is, the more we elaborate our means of communication, the less we communicate. Who else but Mr. A.K. Prabhakara to speak on this?
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. It is Mark Twain who has told the difference between an apt word and not so apt word is the difference between a lightning and a lighting bug. It's so much difference is there. If you are precise, clear, and you know what you want to convey, you will speak in less word. The less is more when it comes to even jokes. See, the brevity is the soul of it, again quoting Mark Twain. So everything that has to be told, it can be compressed and told in a very pithy, succinct way to make it really understood. If you want to more and more understanding of that, I would recommend you read Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point, the book, which elaborates on this aspect. And the more I talk about it, the less I'll be communicating. Over to Table Topic Master.
Thank you, DGM A.K. Prabhakara. It was Rabindranath Tagore who said, the butterfly counts not months, but moments, and has enough time. I now invite Toastmaster Kunal Ramabhadra to speak on this, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Toastmaster Nagaraja Rao. So, Rabindranath Tagore, the poet who wrote our national anthem. So, the butterfly counts not months, but moments, actually. So, each and every moment, if you compare the butterfly with the human, it's not about the months of the training, but the moments of experience where we learn. So that is what connects the quote which Rabindranath Tagore has quoted with us. So each and every moment, the experience which you have learned and what you learned from it counts, but not all the months where you sit just targeting one thing. So you learn, you can't target each and everything at once, but you can go another way and still learn a lot of things. That's what I could tell, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunal. There's an Arab proverb which says, throw a lucky man into the sea and he will come up with a pearl in his mouth. I now request PQD DTM Narayanan to speak on this, please.
Thank you, Table Topics Master, great dignitaries and fellow Toastmasters. Good evening. The luck always favors to the brave man. When we throw a brave man to a sea, he will find every adversity as an opportunity. That's what we have been doing in our life also. How can we make the adversities to in our favor? There lies the ability of a leader to get his followers or the team into take to success. So whatever be the adversities, if we can make those adversities into success, definitely we can come up as a leader. So no matter whether we are put into adversities or obstacles or any other adverse circumstances, if we are lucky, means if we are prepared enough, we can come up with a glorious success. That's what we say, that when a lucky man into the sea, and he will come up with a pearl in his mouth. That's what we have been doing in Toastmasters as well. Initially, we all know that we came up with shivering legs and beating hearts, but we can see great leaders here. That's the success of this story. Over to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, DTM Narayan. So this topic is for Bhavani Hemant. Which tourist place do you think every Indian should visit at least once in their lifetime? Bhavani, please.
Thank you so much, Table Topic Master. Happy evening, distinguished Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. It was a moment of pomp when I reached the heights of Shravanabelagola when I was in 10th standard. That was the first time when my parents allowed me to go out, even though it was an official school trip with teachers. So that's the only reason I got the permission. It was day 3 of my trip, and I think the height is more than 2,000 feet there. I went there in the evening around 4 p.m. The cool breeze, the peace you get there, and all the positive vibes there kind of enlightens a bit of whatever is in your mind. You get that moment of relaxation. Probably that the moment of relaxation differs from each person to person. For a few of them, it may be singing or dancing or just photography or visiting the nature. But for me, the silence made a lot of difference. So this is one place or one tourist place in Karnataka, which I would suggest every Indian to visit, just to go there, relax, meditate for a few minutes. You never know what good thing may get stuck in your mind when you are at peace. Thank you, and over to you, Table Topic Master Nagarajana.
Thank you, Bhavani. Speak about a time when you saw or met a celebrity. I invite Indrani to speak about this, please.
Good evening, Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear guest. Speak about a time when you saw or met a celebrity. Okay, as we all know, time is very important and very precious. We get everything in our life, but not time. Time goes away in a seconds. Every minute and a moment is very important in life. So when we meet any of our celebrity, not need to be a celebrity, let it be any great person who has achieved in his life. When we hear about any great person or a celebrity who has achieved something in his life, he has put a lot of his time to understand, to study, to meet his goals in his life. Might be, for example, a person who became a leader or a coach. It could be anyone. So they could have learned a lot over a lifetime to understand about a subject, and also not only to what to be achieved out of it. So how it's going to be helpful to the others, and how it's going to help the society, the new upcoming generation, so that he or she is going to be inspired and learn good things, get energized, inspired, such meeting such peoples. So one such I could tell, even this Toastmaster sessions, and today having our general evaluator Richard sir as well, being one of our inspiration for us of the times that he has invested, and we are so inspired to have him here and to learn more about his learnings. Thank you, and over to you, Table Topic Master.
If you were invisible for 12 hours, what would you do? Let's ask this question or topic to our mischievous CGD, Arjun Sundar Raj.
Topics Master, am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Topics Master, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that comes to my mind is what happened when I was in fourth grade. Yes. I was very mischievous, like how Nagaraj Rao Direct is very specifically told. I was very, very mischievous. That particular evening, my mother came back from work. My father also came back from work. I just wanted to run out as soon as they came so that I could spend my time on the playground. Went to my playground, and there's this merry-go-round. How many of you remember merry-go-rounds in what we had in our colonies? Yes, there was this merry-go-round, but I came back with a broken leg. If the one thing that I would want to do if I was invisible was not to face my parents after that particular episode, because it was not about the fact that I was hurt or they were feeling bad that I was hurt per se, but it was mainly because I was so mischievous. I did not know what I was really doing. I ran out as soon as they came, and I did not realize that I was actually putting them under some sort of a difficulty because of that little episode. Fast forward 10 more years. My father came back from work with a newly serviced bike. I snatched the keys from him, went again. I came back with the other leg broken as well. The same thing happened. In the evening, I had an examination, but I could not take the examination. Same feeling. If I were to be invisible, I would completely disappear from my parents', I would say, sight in these two episodes, because it's just that I put them into some sort of a difficulty because of that particular episode, or mischievous character of mine per se. I could put it that way. Thank you so much. Back to your Topics Master.
Thank you, Arjun, for sharing this. So the next topic is open for volunteers. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you did something for the first time? Any volunteers? So if nobody's there, I'll call someone. Going 3, 2, 1. Okay, it goes to Arundhati Harley.
Good evening, my dear fellow Toastmasters. When was the last time you did something for the first time? I can say this is the first and last time I did this heroic episode, heroic action, I can say. This was long, about 1.5 decades ago in 2004 or 2005, when I was driving a BTS bus, overtook me in a rash way and grazed my rear right end of my car. That was the small Mattis. It was like a mountain hitting a mouse, and I was absolutely clueless for some time. And once I realized, I wanted to teach a lesson to him. So I took a great speed, chased that bus, overtook the bus after 2 stops. That was after a fair stage. I parked my car in such a way that he couldn't take his bus out. I screamed at him. I just gave my peace of mind to him and scolded him. And I expressed my displeasure. Just because I was in the car, nothing happened to me. And if it were to be a two-wheeler, the consequence would have been really very, very bad. Though he didn't apologize, of course, I didn't expect that. Though he didn't apologize, I was happy that I did something not used, something usual to me. I'm a cool, composed person, and whatever comes in my way, I usually don't react so much. But that day it was something different, something unusual to my character. I think this is the first and last time I did something which I remember throughout my life. Back to you.
Thank you. Okay. How do you show someone you love them? The topic goes to Ujjwal.
A very happy evening. Yes, sir. Yeah. A very happy evening to all the fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests. Thank you, Table Topic Master, for giving me this topic. So my topic for today is, how do you show someone you love them? It is just simple. Stay what you are. Just express your love just by hugging. It can either be your parents or your friends. Just be what you are. Don't be in front of them, don't be a different person, and backside of them, don't be a different. So just be the same, and just express your love and gratitude by just hugging them. And the most thing is, when the other people, when they are struggling in their life, just stay with them in those struggling time. So that's it. Thank you, and over to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much. What are you afraid of? Do we have District Director Vanitha Rangarajan here? Okay, if she's not here, then I would invite Dr. Vijayashree to take this topic, please.
So what am I afraid of?
Yes.
Of turning a little rusty after a long break from Toastmasters, maybe. Or just when you think that Nagaraj Rao has exhausted his topics, there comes another one perhaps. Well, what are you afraid of? I think in recent times, as I recollect, I think what I was most afraid of, or I'm still afraid of, is COVID. I think it's a fear that everybody has and shares. Afraid of losing people and not even being able to say a bid of farewell to them. Perhaps being afraid of me dying a lonely death where nobody would even come near me, being afraid of the suffering before the death. So all of these morbid things is what I'm still very, very afraid of. But I think it has also somewhat dulled my senses. Every day you're hearing about people close to you, people that you know, and they're suddenly not there around anymore. And I think that's a very horrible thing to feel. So they just become another number, and you don't remember the last time you saw them, and never acknowledge that perhaps would be the last time. So I think I know this sounds morbid on a day of celebration like the 23rd anniversary of Mekon, but yeah, that was a spontaneous response to what I'm afraid of, and I hope my fear just remains a fear and nothing more. Back to you, Toastmaster. Nagaraj.
Thank you, Dr. Jishree. This is the last topic. I would invite volunteers for this. What is the weirdest thing you have eaten? Any volunteers? Otherwise, I get to pick the respondent. Anybody? Go for it. Okay, so the topic goes to Shashi, Toastmaster Shashi.
Good evening, table topic masters, fellow Toastmaster, and welcome guests. The worst thing which I have eaten nowadays, so I don't remember any word because from past 1.5 years we are staying in home due to COVID lockdown and all. So I didn't eat anything apart from the home food, to be frank. And recently in the lockdown I got married as well, so I didn't got the opportunity to eat outside, because if I try to say something which I have eaten outside which is good, then she will become angry. So because am I not cooking the good food or something like that, something conversation will happen. So I didn't remember anything weirdest thing I have, but I have eaten, to be frank. She had tried the new thing, she had now tried new cooking thing, so I eaten, but I can't tell because I am in home now, so I can't tell. So I have eaten many things, but I don't remember exactly what it is. Back to you, table topic master.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm really happy you didn't say the weirdest thing I did was to get married, so you saved yourself. Thank you. So it was wonderful asking these topics, and I really enjoyed the responses. Thank you so much, and back to you, Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, sir. It was a fun learning session. With this, we have concluded the second session. Now, let us have a quick 5 minutes networking break and come back having a little refreshment. So see you all back on the screen at 7:27 p.m. sharp. The room is now open for networking.
I like the silence. That's the networking we do, is it? Hello, everyone. Come on, video, say hi at least.
Hi, Arjun.
We just
Hi,
finally
Arjun.
got the ability to unmute ourselves.
That's right.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Good evening.
it's many
Hello,
faces I'm
Arjun.
seeing after a long time. Thank you. Looks more full. This session, right, Sai or Udanka? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could see a lot of people now. Long time. Hi, Sandeep. And nice things are going Good. I wish everybody is relieved or kind of a relief from the COVID. Yeah. Things are settling down. Udankar, Sai, one question I had. Some of the engineering, my colleague, my unknown people wanted to join. How to introduce them as a guest to this? Should I share a link or any procedure?
So you could share the link and connect them with the VP membership Toastmasters Spurti.
Spurti, okay.
Now, if this was a yeah, sorry.
Can you hear me? Yes, sir. Yeah, see, last time DTM Nagaraj Rao had suggested you can have a virtual applause. What happened to that? Is it difficult to have it, or?
Sir, actually, it was not difficult. Just we are figuring out what is the best mean for that, so that it won't be difficult for us. So probably by next 1 or 2 meetings, we'll make sure it is.
Any other clubs? Any other clubs is using
virtual applause as a
Arjun?
background audio.
Yeah,
Quite a few
Audio.
clubs use that. Quite a few clubs
So
use
any
it.
particular app is there where we can use that?
Nothing specific like that, sir. It's up to the comfort level. I mean, ultimately, it does not disrupt the meeting proceedings, right? That's just one thing which we would have to keep in mind. And I've seen, things going either way as well. It was well received by a lot of members. It was not so very well received by members as well. So it depends on the club to club basis. But people do use.
Okay.
This was, if this were to be a regular meeting, now all of us would be taking turns clicking selfies with Richard.
I swear it. I think we can actually organize the tiles on the Zoom platform, and we can click like two couple pictures like that, and then put it on our social media as well.
Arjun, we can
spotlight people.
Yeah, spotlight definitely.
Or we could do that. Definitely, we'll do that to the end of the meeting. As
Udanka, you just stopped.
I'm just waiting for 7:27 so that we can continue with our meeting.
MC on the job.
Strict MC on the job.
Not really.
As it should be. I'll take special note of that on my report.
Nice one.
You know, time is a commodity. Once spent, you can never get back. So.
That's true.
And the time is 7:27. I request the Zoom moderator to mute everyone, and we'll start off with this session. Thank you. Let's quickly get started with the final session for today, the general evaluation. Our general evaluator for today is an MBA graduate in international business from the University of Texas. He is a certified project management professional by the Project Management Institute. He was a senior member of Network Support Division at AT&T, where he had worked for 30 years. During this period, he led cross-functional teams to successfully deliver several multi-million dollar high-tech projects annually. He is also serving in other organizations like Kiwanis International Lions Club, Catholic War Veterans, and many more at various positions. A Toastmaster for 14 years who had held several high-profile leadership roles. As you all can see in the picture, it's our international president with his dragster who hates car having more than 2 doors. I am very curious to know his top speed. Please put your hands together in welcoming our international president, DTM Richard E. Peck. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Now I'm very scared as to how you found out that much detail about my dislike of cars with more than 2 doors. But thank you for sharing that. And now for the pomp and circumstance of the general evaluation session, the evaluation session in total. I am serving as your general evaluator today, which means that after I call for the reports and the evaluations, I'll provide my evaluation of the meeting from beginning to end, as well as provide some feedback on the role takers. The evaluation will be similar to any evaluation where there'll be things that are well done that I'll point out. And I don't say things for improvement, I'll say things for consideration. And I say that because they may apply at one meeting, but not apply at another. So they're for consideration, not necessarily improvements. And I'll bring that back at the end of the meeting. But let us begin with our speech evaluators. And for our guests, evaluations are there to help our speakers hone their skills, their communication, more than just the spoken word, but how it's delivered. And each individual has a specific evaluator that will provide that feedback. So let me invite evaluator number 1, DTM Prabhakara.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and Toastmasters Spurti Raghu in particular. The idea behind this speech is economy important as opposed to environment? A clean environment leads to happiness, not necessarily the growth of economy by itself. That is the idea behind the speech. The opening was very, very attention catching because it was some kind of, we had to decipher, think, GNH greater than GDP. It made people think as to what that person is going to talk about. And the conclusion was also relevant in the sense that the person who received them and put them at ease at the Bhutan visa counter, arrival on visa counter, says that I'm doing it for the king and the people. See, the idea has percolated down to the last person. That is the indicative of that particular statement. In between, she explained what so much, why happiness is drawn from where the environmental aspect of Bhutan, 75%, 70% is being forest, and they are not only not carbon neutral, they are not carbon negative. They don't produce the damaging environment. They are not actually contributing towards climate change, to the wrong side of the climate change. So these are the things that was brought about, and it was done very well. I would say add some transition from one idea to the other. The next one is that the statistics that was quoted was not authenticated by quoting the source exactly from where those figures have been drawn to prove a point that she was making. I thought that source should have been brought into the play. But if you consider the overall impact of the speech itself, it was remarkable, I would say, because today the environmental damages is leading to kind of change in the poor health conditions, and finally people ending up whether we survive as a planet itself. That question is coming repeatedly to the mind of people. So the topic, the way it was taken through as a speech was done remarkably well, and little improvements here and there, she can be an excellent speaker. Over to General Evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Prabhakara. I'll now call our second evaluator, Toastmaster Shridevi.
Good evening, Toastmasters, and Toastmaster Ankita in particular. Today, I'm going to be giving my evaluation as to what went well, some areas of consideration, and an overall conclusion. Starting off, I would like to say that Toastmaster Ankita, you have a great stage presence and a good command over the English language. I really liked the words that you used, especially in greeting the Toastmasters present here. Fellow planners, fellow developers, and strategists, I really liked that way of an enthusiastic opening that you had. I would also like to mention that you had a wonderful structure to your speech, a great opening, a body, and a conclusion. I appreciate the role play that you had in the start, which grabbed the audience attention and held it for a long time. It intrigued me as to where we're going with this conversation with Rahul and who is he and what is this all about. And that was the main point of your speech about how you were the coach to Rahul and how you helped him understand the importance of prioritizing. And I would like to point out that you're a wonderful storyteller. And you had a driving home message about the importance of prioritizing. And of course, you had to demonstrate your learning experience as a coach. And I appreciate the story in which you delivered this message. I especially want to point out the language you used to emphasize the gravity of the matter, like colossal amount of worries, miserably failing, compromise, jeopardy. I love this language that you used to drive home the message that you had. And let's not, I think there's this one important thing in your speech, that is tap, which is also there in the title of your speech, tap onto your potential. I really liked it, that you used it as an abbreviation to deliver this important message about having timelines, asking for help, and prioritizing. I really liked the use of this method of abbreviation and driving home the message to even the audience, and something that would stay in their mind for a long time. Now, if I had to give you some areas of consideration, leadership comes in many forms, and coaching is one of them. And a coach is somebody who shares specialized skills and experience with others. And you gave him a valuable suggestion about tapping onto his own potential. But I also wish you could share about how this formula of TAP is going to work, or how it worked for you in the past, or what made you believe this strategy is going to work. I noticed that you also spoke about the different coaches in India that have created wonderful and supported the different athletes. Again, what did they do to make them that impactful coaches that they are today? So I really liked the fact that you covered why, but if you also added the what and how, I think it would have taken your speech to an ultimate level. Overall, I would like to say it was a great speech. And I appreciate how, as a coach, you recognize the positive impact that your action is having on the others. And of course, the mantra and the concluding message that coaches are people that see something in us when we don't see it within ourselves. So a great message and a wonderful delivery. Good luck to future speeches. All the best, and back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sridevi. Now let's see how we did with the meeting from a language perspective. Did we have those unnecessary ahs and ums, double clutches? Let's hear from our ah counter, Toastmaster Lalana.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Good evening once again. Being our 23rd anniversary and a celebratory meeting as well, we had very negligible use of ahs used by the speakers. They used only a couple of ahs, and the interjection so was also used only by 2 speakers. However, I would like to place on record that the speakers DTM A.K. Prabhakara, DTM M.U. Bhatt, DTM Nagaraj Rao, DTM Arjun Sundarraj, DTM Narayanan, Toastmaster Udanka and Toastmaster Sai Snehal were flawless without using any crutch words. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that very concise report. Now, how did we do with the language? Let's hear from our grammarian, Toastmaster Viyashri.
Fellow Toastmasters and our General Evaluator, this meeting, with all its celebratory and pomp and glory, was impeccable. Like our counter just said, it was flawless. With so many speakers being flawless, there is no room for me to say or talk about the wrong usages or things that could be improved upon. But I think also the word of the day was more experienced than used. So I'll give it to the audience that you experienced all the pomp and glory and chose to keep it that way rather than use it. So I thought that was a simple word that could be used. We could do better the next time around, because this is a word that you can use for the week. So go ahead and use it all you can. So I think we did well on language, and I think it's the presence of the international director also that adds to it. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster V.S. Shari. And now let's hear from Timer, because we know time is a commodity, and once it's spent, we can't get it back. So how did we do? Did we stay in time?
Good evening to all the Toastmasters once again. So I'll be reading out the minutes taken by the each speaker. Sajki Terms, Toastmaster Sanjana has taken 2 minutes 30 seconds. Secretary's report by Toastmaster Ujjwal has been taken 1 minute 50 seconds. President's speech was about 7 minutes 50 seconds. Coming to the speakers, first speaker Toastmaster Spooty has taken 5 minutes 57 seconds. Second speaker Toastmaster Ankita has taken 8 minutes. And for the table topic session, it went around 25 minutes 38 seconds. And there were a total of 13 speakers, where 6 speakers have crossed more than 1 minute, 5 speakers have crossed more than 1 minute 30 seconds, and 2 speakers have crossed more than 2 minutes. And coming to the evaluation, the first evaluator, DTM A.K. Prabhakara, has taken 2 minutes 45 seconds. And the second evaluator, Toastmaster Sridevi, has taken 3 minutes 45 seconds. That's it from the timer. Thank you, and back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gaurav, for that report. Now I'll give my general evaluator's report, and I'll break it up into a couple sections. One is I'll talk about the meeting in general. Then I'll talk about some of the role players and what I saw, what we may want to think about, and then some things for consideration. But let me ask you, how do you think you did today? Thumbs up? Yeah, you should feel good about yourselves. You did great today. I took quite a few notes because I felt that they were important to share with you. When I joined the meeting this morning, for me, this evening for you, it was nice to hear all the activity that was going on. It's important that we keep these meetings as close to a real in-person meeting as we can. And when we would get in a room together, we'd have that communication up front. We'd talk to each other. We wouldn't be, on mute, siloed. Of course, it's hard to mute some people when they're in person, although we might want to, but we can't do that. So having that piece that's very similar to a meeting is nice. The Sergeant at Arms. What a nice way to open up a meeting with the frosting aspect, the sweetness, the lightness of it, and how that could apply to a meeting. I thought that was nice to open it up in a little bit different of a way, as opposed to just slamming the gavel on the table and saying, let's get started. So thank you for that. You did make me a little bit hungry, so I will have to go have breakfast after this, but it was definitely well worth it. We don't have Gulab Jamun here, though, in the United States, so I'll have to find that somewhere. The business meeting was well conducted. We don't generally see business meetings at the Toastmasters Club meetings. They're very rare, at least for the clubs I visited. So it's good to see that and recap the minutes of the meeting. It also gives the guests who are in attendance some idea of what is actually going on behind the scenes, not just what is going on in the meeting. Then the president recognized those visiting leaders. I don't like to be considered a dignitary. I like to be considered just a visiting leader, because to me, all our titles are important. We don't get separated by them. We get separated by what we do for others. So it's not so much the title for me, but I like the fact that you introduced those individuals. And here's what was really nice. You were so cognizant of time and the importance of getting everything in on time that you didn't go to them and ask them to introduce themselves. But if there is time at the end of the meeting, you may just do that. But this allowed the meeting to be kept in a nice flow. The agenda. That was probably one of the more detailed agendas I've seen, where it included the name of the mentor for that individual, which I think is something I have never seen before on an agenda. So thank you for that. Although there is something that I will point out a little bit later on the agenda for your consideration. Excuse me. Toastmaster of the day. Great job explaining the meeting for anyone in here who was a guest and breaking it up into the sessions that we were going to have so that they could feel like they were a part of the meeting. Again, these are things that are often overlooked because we take them for granted. We do them so much, but in these environments where you have the potential for many more guests, it's really nice to share that with them so they feel like they're part of it. I also appreciated the evaluators introducing the speech projects. That's also important, not only for the members of the club, but for the guests so that they understand what the project is, why the speaker is saying what they're saying, what their purpose is. So good there. The table topics master, not just because he's a friend, but I will say I enjoyed the topics. They covered a wide range of subject matter, which allowed to hear different types of responses, different types of speaking skills. So that was really well done. Not only that, but they were thought-provoking questions. And there's one that I'll ask of the club later when I conclude my report. Let me talk about the functionaries tonight. I want to first start with the counter. That was a nice, concise report. It's good to hear that we're getting past the ahs and the ums and those fillers. So's are becoming the new keyword, I think, as opposed to ah and But it's something that we all work on. And, you know, you provided the report in such a way that you didn't really call anybody out saying you were using ahs and ums, and make them feel on the spot, which could be intimidating, especially if it was a guest and we said, oh, the guest did this many ahs and ums, then they get put in a different spot. So thank you for just giving the report the way it was. Our grammarian, I agree. I would have thought that pomp would have been used more today because it was a special celebration. And it was such an easy word. I've seen so many words that are used that I couldn't put in an English sentence, even if I tried. But this was one of those ones that was nice and it applied to the meeting itself. So that was a good way of trying to connect the theme, the event, and everything all in one. I'm sorry it wasn't used more often for you. And our timer, timing is probably one of the more difficult roles in a club because you get so wrapped up in listening to the speaker that you can often forget about timing. But it appears that our timer did a great job today, focusing on everyone and getting the timing spot on. I do want to talk just a little bit for our evaluators. Our first evaluator, nice job in recapping the speech. And you pointed out one thing that I can say I've never heard before, but I think it speaks to the importance of credibility. So you've quoted that the statistics had been presented, but they weren't authenticated. We didn't have a source for them. And quoting that source would have been a good way to prove credibility to them. I'm sure that they were accurate, 100% accurate, but just knowing where they came from, because maybe some of us are research nerds and would want to look them up afterwards. So that was just a nice little point that was brought out. And our second evaluator brought up the uniqueness of the role play, the phone conversation, and the storytelling aspect. For the speaker, one thing to think about is how you can make the voices a little bit more distinct so that you can hear that conversation between two people a little bit more separated. But it was a great storytelling speech. And as I was looking at your calendar, I was thinking of mine, and boy, you're just a little bit busier than I am nowadays. Couple things for consideration, and these are really nothing major when you hear them. First goes to the agenda. So the agenda was very detailed, but it didn't have any names of the role takers on it. So I had to scroll through the list to find out who was the odd counter, who was the grammarian, the timer. And I apologize if I hurt anyone's name because, I didn't have them in advance and was trying to work through them, but I did my best. So thinking about putting the names on the agenda, just so we have that. Speaking of the agenda and the word of the day, I had the agenda because it was sent to me. I don't know how many guests had the agenda. So if we could have shared the agenda in the chat window, that way everyone would have had it and would have been able to follow through, as well as word of the day. Putting word of the day with the definition in the chat so those who join can see it is sometimes a little bit more important. Also, encouraging individuals to use the word of the day. So when the table topics come up, encouraging the individual to use the word of the day, reminding them what it is, may have also helped bring that word in just a little bit. Technology is always going to be a little bit of an issue. So watching where we are with lighting and framing, speakers specifically, we can hear by the sound of your voice how thrilled you are by your speech, how excited you are to give it. But if we can't see your facial expressions, there's a little bit of a challenge there in being able to connect. I think everyone did a really good job here today, though, of framing themselves well, getting their lighting, getting their mics put on the right way. So very good there. Let's see, anything else here? No, our timer who stated about time being valuable did a great job there. Oh, reminding, this is something that we often don't think about because we don't have to, reminding individuals to pin the timer. Why is that important? Well, when the Table Topics Master was sharing his screen, there's only a limited number of participants that are visible at that point in time. And if you're looking for the timer, you may not see them. So pinning the timer at that point would be really good. One other thing, this is just something to think about for your participant windows. And when we get back in person, we won't have to think about this as much. Asking individuals to rename themselves with guest or visiting Toastmaster. VTM is what the acronym is, because now they're all together in the list. And if you wanted to recognize anybody, you know where they are. You don't have to go searching and going, is that a guest? Is it a visiting Toastmaster? Who is it? This was a great meeting, a really well done, well thought out celebration of your 23rd anniversary. I'm going to leave you with one question, though, just something to think about. And it was prompted to me from listening to the Table Topics question. And it was a Table Topics question about, if you were invisible for 12 hours, what would you do? Let me phrase a question to you to think about, especially in today's environment. Have you ever felt that someone has made you feel invisible? Or have you ever made other individuals feel invisible? And how would you react to that? Mr. Table Topics Master, or no, I'm sorry, Mr. Toastmaster of the day, it was my pleasure to serve as your general evaluator today. I look forward to one day meeting you all in person. I turn the floor back to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator. That was such an informative session. With this, we have come to the end of the meeting and hand over the charge back to our President, Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Over to you, President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Udanka. We had such a wonderful meeting today with distinguished Toastmaster Richard E. Peck giving us such valuable feedback and also the areas for improvement. We had two wonderful speeches and also a brilliant table topic session. Normally, if it was any other physical meeting with President visiting us today, we would hand him a beautiful memento or a plaque. But nonetheless, I will still take the privilege to share something that we have created for him. I request each and every one of you to kindly unmute yourself with the permission given now, to please unmute yourself and give a huge round of applause for Distinguished Toastmaster Richard E. Peck. Thank you, everyone. Before we get to the winners for today's meeting, I would like to tell that this was such a beautiful meeting and I truly enjoyed it. And I'm sure you all did too. Now let's quickly go on to the winners for today's meeting. The best speaker for today goes to Toastmaster Ankita. And the best table topic speaker goes to Toastmaster Vaibhav Gupta. And the best evaluator goes to the evaluator king of our club, Distinguished Toastmaster A.K. Prabhakara. Congratulations to all the winners. Before I close the meeting, I would like to call the Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Narayan, to share a few words.
Thank you, President Toastmaster Sai Mahal. Mekon Toastmasters Club. It's a great club. I would say one of the ancestor clubs as far as Toastmasters clubs in India is concerned. When I attend this meeting, I remember the first meeting I attended in my home club, because there were so many competent communicators, not DTMs on that day. It was about more than 10 years ago. And I was a member, or I was an outsider, just like an outsider, without knowing what a Toastmaster is. When I was asked to introduce, I was shivering, my legs were shivering, my heart was beating more than usual. When I attended this Mekon Toastmasters Club, honestly, I feel the same thing today also. By seeing all great leaders here. Wonderful indeed. Mekon Toastmasters Club produced many leaders I know, many champion speakers, whatnot. And I am sure that it is one of the best clubs, not only in the district, but in the region itself. And let me wish this Mekon Toastmasters Club produce many more international leaders and champion speakers. Over to you, Toastmasters Sai Mahal.
Thank you so much, Distinguished Toastmaster Narayan. I would like to call this special person, the Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Arjun Sundar Raj, to tell a few words.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sai. Mr. President, I would say. Again, now we have the biggest Mr. President, Distinguished Toastmaster Richard. Thank you for joining us. Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Narayan, district leaders, and most importantly, my favorite person in Mekon, I would say, our past International Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Nagaraj Rao. It's an honor to be here and to celebrate this milestone meeting. But I want to very specifically talk about how I learned about Mekon. It was in 2013. I was a very new Toastmaster back then, and I volunteered into being a registrations chairman for the district conference. And the opportunity obviously was given to me by another past district director or the district governor, Kumaran Petri. That time, Ajay Chittaranjan was the conference co-chair. So that's how I learned about Mekon. We had a lot of discussions and everything happened. But fast forward a few years, I saw the same man in 2015 Kochi conference talking about one single concept that I truly believed in. Be like water, he said. If you put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. If you put water in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. That's the beauty of water, isn't it? It flows around a boulder. It flows around wherever it is. It takes the shape of that person. That is what Mekon is to me. It has gone through ups and downs, twists and turns. But one thing that stood every time together was the camaraderie that the club had built. It helped people, it enabled people, it built people to be like water. That is what every single member that comes out of Mekon tells me, not just tells me, shouts at me saying that this is what is happening at Mekon. This is what the world should know about Mekon. And that's one thing which I realized, that it's not simple. It's just in the way the people are. Prabhakara sir, Nagaraj Rao sir, Arjun Rajaras sir, who was there. So many people who are a part of this club have enabled one single leadership quality that I have today. If I am standing here, okay, sitting here as the club growth director and sharing some few words, it's because of what I learned from Nagaraj Rao, what I learned from Arjun Rajaras or A.K. Prabhakara, or every person that I met from Mekon. Karthik, if you remember, he was one of the finest presidents as well in the past. There were so many people that have taught me so many things. And one thing which I will tell you today is to be like water, because that is what is going to enable you to become a very fine person at the end of the day. Thank you. I wish Mekon a wonderful celebration, I would say. It's an honor to be here and speaking to every single one of you, all the 39 of you, except for me. And it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Arjun Sundaraj. Be like water, I shall surely remember. They say feedback is the breakfast of champions, and your feedback is truly important for us. Now I request each and every one of you kindly go back to the base camp and give the role takers and speakers a feedback they deserve, because it is something they can work on and something they can cherish and something they'll be happy to listen. With that, I come to the end of today's meeting and I close meeting number 1120. But before you all can leave, I request everyone to please turn on your videos for a photo.
Thank you, sir.
Since we have finished way ahead of time, the room is now open for networking session.
Congratulations, Sai, for a wonderful meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Richard, I have a question. How did you develop this deep resonating voice?
Sorry, sir, I lost a bit of voice there. I couldn't hear you properly.
No, I'm curious to know how Richard could develop this fantastic voice of his.
I was born with it, believe it or not, Nagaraja. I can make it a little bit deeper if I have to, depending on the situation. But this is pretty much the natural one that was given to me. When I had my surgery back in 2009, I requested that the doctor, he could do anything, but he could not mess up my voice.
Richard, I have a question, please.
Sure.
You are giving your email address to us, agreed. Great. But you are an international president. So many people may write something, email or call. How you manage all these things?
You'd be surprised that we don't get a lot of emails, as many as you would think we get. It's a courtesy, the way I look at it. You've invited me to share my time with you and have the opportunity to meet, and I want to have that same opportunity with you. My term is done in 32 days. I'll no longer be the international president. And I want to be able to keep in touch with the friends that I've met over these years, over this year specifically. This year I did something that no one has ever attempted to do before, and as an international president at least, and that was to visit clubs and give speeches, take on roles. And I'm happy to say that the goal was initially to visit 145 countries, 145 clubs. When this is all done, it will be about 161 clubs on the tour, and 140 plus countries. But it's probably been over 400 speaking engagements. And I've got a chance to meet so many people that I wouldn't have done before. Some of you I've met in person. I know Nagaraja very well. I am one of the only presidents who has not visited Nagaraja and gone to his coffee plants. Another thing I lost due to COVID-19. Thank you very much. But it's really been an opportunity to meet with everybody. Speaking of the World Tour, I'm going to take 1 minute to just ask a request of the club. Mikan Club was added to the World Tour after the official World Tour was finalized. But you were put on a waiting list because you were recognized as a club that, you know, was fun. We should visit and see. And someone else mentioned that. So we're using this as the return tour, if you will, the return trip. And once the tour is over, which it almost is now, I'm going to put together a journal of all the clubs I visited. Now think about it. There's only 161 clubs out of over 16,000 that I'll be visiting. And in that journal, I like to have a write-up of the club. But I don't want to write it. I can't write the history of your club. I can't write your culture, your country, your people. So I'm requesting that the club provide me a write-up. And just in a Word document format so that I can put it in the journal. And then once the journal's completed, I'll share it with the clubs I visited and we'll post it on social media for others to learn about you. Here's the way I want you to look at it. If you could be on the stage in front of 365,000 other Toastmasters, I know it's scary. What would you want them to know about you? What would you share that you would want them to take away with them? And you can get that to me whenever you can. I'm hoping to have it by the end of August so I can try to get everything wrapped together. But I think it's just a great way to share our world with one another. You know, the pandemic caused us to have to separate and be far apart. Yet it made the world smaller because connections now became an index finger, an enter key, and a zoom button away. And if it weren't for that, it's not very likely that I'd be sitting with you today sharing this event. So there were the opportunities. It was mentioned earlier, looking for opportunities as opposed to challenges. And that's always been my focus, not focus on the challenge, focus on the opportunity. And my quote, if you haven't seen it, I haven't been on Facebook in quite a while, so it wouldn't be there, but opportunity does not knock on the door and it does not ring the doorbell. Opportunity plays hide and seek, and it's up for you to seek out your opportunities. Mr. President, I apologize for taking so much time at the end of the meeting.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. It's really a big honor for us, for Mekon being able to feature in your journal per se, and your presence itself means means a lot for us. And on a side note, I'd just like to share a memory. When Michael Notaro visited Bangalore, I was dropping him to airport. He had to take his flight back to US. And suddenly he saw this cow in middle of the road. So he said, stop, stop, stop. And I stopped the car. He took a picture of the cow. And that cow eventually made to the world stage during his memoirs. So that was shown. and you know, it's like that. Mekon is also making a mark on the world stage by your presence. I'm really honored. We are all very, very happy to have you with us.
And to the district leaders that are on here and leaders in general of this club and the district in any way that you are, the vision directors, thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to step forward and stand tall in spite of the unknown. That is a testament to you as individuals and as leaders. So thank you for that.
Richard, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When do you think we'll have our physical meetings?
When do I think what?
Physical meetings.
Oh, I think that's going to be up to your two things. One is up to your government on when they're going to allow us to start having in-person meetings, right? We're not going to dictate over the government for sure. And two, it's going to have to be when you're comfortable enough with it. Because there will be some individuals who do not have a comfort level yet of being in person. Here in the States, where things have been opened up for a while, people are starting to meet in person. We're seeing it in other countries as well, but it's being cautious. And, the Delta variant that is out there now that's taking a hold, we're not quite sure how much more that's going to impact us. But we'll have to be smart about it. You all have to think about what's in the best interest of who you are. Anyone who's had the COVID virus, it's a terrible thing to have. I had it. You don't want it. So thinking about individuals and how best to make sure they're safe. And even when you go back to meeting in person, knowing that individuals might not be comfortable. They might be immunocompromised and don't want to take a risk. Thinking about how to serve them. So I think, we're getting closer and closer to being in person with our convention at some time in the near future too.
Mr. President, can we expect in-person international convention next year?
Can we expect an in-person international convention in 2022? I hope so. We're still trying to weigh the odds on what's going on and getting locked into specific items. I'm sure that we will be making announcements by the August convention of this year on what the plans for next year, if we don't make them before that. But I think it's going to be one of those things that when we have our conventions in the future, what they look like, what is the makeup? How is it comprised? I was just at a convention, an in-person convention, and there were only 300 people in the audience. And that's not a lot when you think about a convention, and they had more people online than they had in person. So trying to figure out the balance, if you will, and how to keep people engaged. Yeah. Have any of you been to hybrid meetings before? Been on a hybrid meeting? Okay. So Ankita has. Did you feel that it was completely connected all the time, or did you feel that there were times as somebody being on the Zoom, you weren't as necessarily connected with the meeting because the microphones didn't work properly, the imagery wasn't there? How do you keep people engaged at that point? And I've been to some hybrid meetings that have been done very well, and I've been to some hybrid meetings that there's a long way to go to get to well. And it's not easy. So those are, your club growth director. I know Raj I've watched him grow as a leader. I know he's got great ideas for how he's going to help the district grow this year in those aspects. And your program quality director will be looking at, what does a meeting look like? How do we help the clubs get to there? So you have really strong leaders that are going to help you through it this year. I have no doubt about that.
Thank you.
President Peck, I have a curious thing. It's been bothering me since the time I've seen that dragster photo.
Okay.
There's a famous quote in Fast and Furious which goes by, "I live my life quarter mile at a time." So I'm curious to know what the top speed of your dragster is.
So the top speed, and I can only give it to you in mile per hour. I don't have the conversion in front of me at the moment. So if someone wants to do the conversion, that would be fine. I can cover a quarter mile. So that's 1,320 feet in 8.1 seconds at 158 miles per hour. And I know the mathematicians and the engineers are already getting those
Yeah,
calculations
it's about
out
250
there.
kilometers. 250 kilometers per hour. Achha, Richard, one question I have. The neutral accent you speak, is it cultivated for Toastmasters or is your natural style?
That's my natural style.
Oh, great. Because many of the Americans, we don't find it difficult to follow.
Yeah, no, it's my natural style. I did want to talk to, thank you for bringing that up. Evaluators, something that I forgot to cover during my review of the evaluation sessions. You provide a lot of information during your evaluations, which is great. It's important. But also remember, you're giving mini speeches. So take a breath. It seemed like there was no breaths, no pauses in some of those evaluations. And I know Sridevi is sitting there with her head nodding down because she knows that she was one of those ones that was running through it. But it's important to get the information out there. I think what's different here is we have the audience and we can speak about it. And it's different than when we're in the club meeting and we have that paper in front of us to hand to them. So we can cover certain things and then we hand the paper. Right now, it's the transition of, okay, what do I say in the meeting? Because now I'm here. And then I have to remember to send the evaluation in an email or post it into Basecamp or whatever. So we're trying to get that amount of information out. But yeah, they're mini speeches.
That's a mistake that I have done a lot as well as an evaluator, to get a lot of information in a single evaluation. And it just dawns on me right now that, yeah, Arjun, you were actually doing a lot of it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mr. President.
So I think it was Toastmasters Prabhakara, whose table topics statement was, sometimes you communicate too much that you stop communicating.
That's right.
Anything else? Because if not, I'm going to sign off for another commitment I have.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Stay safe, stay healthy. I do hope that someday we'll all be able to meet in person and celebrate as we should.
Richard,
so please feel free.
President, where is your location in US? Where do you stay?
I'm in Connecticut. So I'm on the Eastern Seaboard. Yep.
Connecticut.
Yeah. All right. Please connect with me on LinkedIn and stay in touch with me. I'd love to hear from you over the years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Nagaraj Rao.